start recording now. And Zati, at 10:05, I think we should start because we have quite a number of attendees already that came in. Yes, so I think we should start and let the rest follow.
All right. Okay, I will start, Marilyn.
Yes, please, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining in this session. Well, before we get started, I just want to wish you guys, I hope everyone is staying safe wherever you are, at home or in the office or on the go, in fact. So, well, before we get started, let me just share with you on a few protocols and logistic details on the session. Let me just share with you. All right, I hope everyone can see my slide. All right, okay. So before we get started, for now, we will mute everyone so that the focus will be on the trainer. And if you have any technology difficulties or any technology error, just let us know in the chat box. Or if you are having internet problems, you can just sit nearer to the modem. And if we are going too fast, just let us know in the chat box also. And do utilize the chat to interact with us. And most importantly, stay present and have fun during this 1.5 hour session. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to unmute yourself and straight away ask us, yeah? Okay, so before we jump into the first session, let me just do a bit of introduction. Well, I believe everyone has a story to tell. Some write it in the book, some confide it in the heart. Today we are here to support women to discover their wings. Hi, I'm Zati from Compass Mind Asia. We help organizations grow expansionally through our proven corporate training program. Together with me, we have Marilyn.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Mary Len. I am the CEO and founder of Customized Training Solutions. And our mission is to be able to help people and organizations across industries to help them with their objectives and overcome their challenges through relevant learning solutions. Back to you, Zati.
All right, together with us today, we have 3 powerful she's. They will tell their stories from their hearts to empower and encourage us all. Trust me, hearing the stories brought tears to my eyes. Sit on tight as they are here to empower you emotionally and make your substance felt. The primary aim is to stimulate the confidence in you by awakening the skills that are dormant within you. So let our 3 she's polish and sharpen the skills needed. So without further ado, let me introduce you guys to the first powerful speaker, Madi. She brings with her more than 18 years of working experience in training and also consultancy. She is an expert in HR-related trainings, especially in Employment Act 1955, disciplinary and termination process. She is also passionate in learning and development, focusing on areas of communication, culture, and change. Madi is an accredited Genius Emotional Intelligence trainer. She has worked with Petronas, Standard Chartered, Samsung, BASF, Petro-Vietnam, and Edra Energy, to name a few. So without delaying any moment lagi, I would like to pass the floor to Madi.
All right. Thank you, Zati. Can you all hear me clearly before I start the session? Are we okay? Are you all okay with my voice? Is it clear now?
Yeah, it's clear.
All right, thank you so much. Hello, beautiful ladies. A very good morning to you. Firstly, I'm thankful and grateful to be here and to share my insights on this platform with you. All right, what am I going to talk about today is going to be on our inner voice, okay? I'm going to talk about the inner critics that we face And how are we going to silence these inner critics by using emotional intelligence? Definitely, I would share some of my story, how I used it to silence the inner critics that we would face as a women. All right. Now, I'm going to start with a tagline here. Your real voice is a megaphone for your inner voice. Do you agree with me, ladies? Now, if I say your voice matters, ladies, do you think your voice matters here? Now, please do put it in the chat, whether yes or no, do you think your voice matters here? Thank you so much. I see yes. All right. I see majority of you say yes. Definitely, our voice matters. Now, if you want to sound great on the outside, you need to sound great on the inside. So this is about how we identify our inner critics and we silence them so that we can shine and our confidence comes out as it is and we shine as a woman. Now, undoubtedly, confidence impacts people regardless of what level they are from, whatever walk of life you are from and your career, but confidence in fact impacts us some or other. On the whole, we struggle with our inner critics. We struggle with it, and sometimes we would not know how to address the inner critics that we face. Now, this is about how are you going to recognize the inner critics and how are you going to silence the inner critic. Now, as for me, I think it's all about how we change relationship with the inner critic. Whichever inner critic you have identified, you change the relationship with the inner critic and learn how to listen to it without allowing it to affect how we perform. Now, you'll be thinking like, what is the inner critic? Like she keeps saying inner critics, inner critics. Definitely, I will share with you the inner critics that I'm going to highlight today. There are many inner critics. As a woman, we face many inner critics, but I'm going to just take the 5 common inner critics that as women, we face in our life, day in, day out, in our life that I'm going to share with you. Now, like I say, the 5 inner critics that I'm going to highlight today would be, Zeti, can I have my slides, please? Now, these are the 5 inner critics that as women, it haunts us. Now, first, to put it out, the judge critic. What is the judge critic here? Now, judge critic is, it makes you judge yourself endlessly. Now, even sometimes something is outside your control, you blame yourself for it. You blame yourself for it, even though it is outside your control, but you try to blame yourself on that. Now, that is the first. Second would be on the victim critic. What is victim critic here? Victim critic is about you feeling powerless, pessimistic, and somehow it manifests some kind of lack of motivation and zero hope, okay, in you. That is victim critic. Okay, we try to don't take the ownership. We don't take the ownership of it. We try to blame others around us. It's not me, it is them, it is, it is she, it's her, it's him. That kind of thing that we try to play here. We try to play the victim, victimization kind of feeling that we bring out. Now, that basically shows that we have lack of ownership, and also it makes us, have zero hope in our life. Now, that is victim critic. Now, we talk about the protector critic. Thirdly, protector critic. What is protector critic? What is protector critic? Now, it has been said, now women, we hardly take bigger risk. We hardly take bigger risk. Now, we are afraid of judgment. That means what what would others say about us? Now, if I were to do this, what people will say about me? And then we have this feeling like the reputational damage. Would it cause reputational damage if I were to do this? Now, these are called as the protector critic. All right. Now, then we have the ringmaster critic. Now, what is the ringmaster critic here? It's about how your value is based on your discipline here. What is it? Now, you try to push yourself. You push and push yourself to do something. Now, the moment you stop pushing yourself, you find it, I'm weak now. I'm a failure now. I'm weak and I can't do it. Now, I think that is not right. You should accept that there are times that we could do it. There are times that we have to sit back and relax. So this is ringmaster, whereby it makes us feel that the moment you push and push, and when you slow down, it makes you feel you are not good. Okay, that undermines our confidence. Now, this ringmaster critic undermines our confidence. Now, lastly, very important critic. Now, you, me, all women, we face this. This is called the neglector critic. What is the neglector critic here? We always put others before us. Priority is given to others before us. Now, for instance, now, please correct me if I'm wrong. For instance, my children, my husband, my family, that is your priority, but not yourself. It's always the usual, the common cliche that we use. My son, my daughter, my children, my husband. This is the common cliche we use. Now, this we need to change here. Now, we are living in a society which you need to look at the present moment. Why do I say that? Now, you would agree with me. Children now send their parents to old folks home. You can have, you can have priority. You can give priority to your family. It could be your children. It could be your husband, whatever. But at the end of the day, now is the time that children are sending the parents to old folks home. Now, what about you? You're going to be soon, old and could be sent to old folks. I'm not saying they would send. I'm not judging your children here, but reality strikes here. Now, you could be sent to old folks home. Now, what about you? What about your self-dignity here? What about your self-pride? So we need to look at, please give yourself some time. This is what I'm trying to say. Now, others are being selfish. What about you? It's not wrong to be selfish. It's not wrong to be selfish, but you need to have that thing that giving importance to yourself here. Now, always it has been said, women can do only 5 things. They cannot do 50 things. They have a list of 50 things that women cannot do. That's taboo to do it. Now we have 5 things that we can do. Now we are stigmatized with that surrounding. We need to come up from that. We need to have that mindset that we have. This is the neglector critic I'm talking about. We need to have that mindset. We need to move from that. We need to have shift of mindset from that. Give priority to yourself. Give priority to yourself. We are always the answers to others' question. Let it be your children, let it be your husband. It's always, mommy knows, or my wife knows, that kind of thing. We are always answers to them. Why not change it? You become the question. Why not you become the question instead of the answers? Okay, these are very important things that we need to look at. Now, do you want to live just a life, or you want to live a life that is with self-respect and dignity? Ask yourself this question. Do you want to live a life with dignity, self-dignity, and self-respect, I would say? Or just for the sake of living a life, I live a life. So which one do you want? Now, it is common for a woman to live for others, but you need to try to spend some time for yourself. Now, I'm really working on this. Me, myself, I'm really working on this. This is what I talk about. This self-awareness. Later, I will just highlight to you what is self-awareness is all about. Now, self-awareness. Now, you need to acknowledge yourself and give time for yourself. Now, don't lose yourself in the midst of everything, and then your dreams will be lost there. So don't lose yourself, you know, you should not. Your dreams are your signature. So bear in mind, your dreams are your signature. You need to give priority to yourself, then put others in place later. So this would be the 5 inner critics that I'm trying to highlight. As I said, we have many common inner critics, but these are 5 inner critics that we face. I'm sure you might resonate with whatever critics that I'm saying, all right? What do you call, Zeti, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Now, these are some, or I call it as competencies. These are actually Janot's model that I myself use it, and I find it in my own life. I will share it with you why I say it's so much important in my life currently, especially the self-awareness part. It's really, really important, all right? Okay, now these are competencies: self-awareness, awareness of others, authenticity, emotional reasoning, self-management, and positive influence. Now, we need to be in the current state, which is our productive state. Moment. We need to put ourselves in the present moment. Now, if we are not, then you got to develop yourself to move on to the productive state instead of the unproductive state. I'm just going to highlight the self-awareness part. How does it matter? Yeah. Okay. Can I have the next slide, Zeti? Thank you. This is the self-awareness. Now, I talked about inner critics. How do we silence the inner critics? Now, take, for instance, self-awareness. Now, self-awareness, the steps are of self-awareness, how we can progress in or develop our self-awareness will be aware. First thing is awareness. That means acknowledging or identifying which inner critic is speaking to me right now. We are trying to make it like, okay, which inner critic is talking to me right now, trying to identify it, trying to recognize it. Then you go on to ask the question, what is this critic trying to protect me from? Ask that question and answer that question. What is it trying to protect me? Then moving on, do I really need to be protected? We always look at the worst case scenario. What if it goes wrong? We always look at what if it goes wrong. What about shifting your mind to what if it goes right? All right, then we need to break the cycle. Cognitive shifting. I'm talking about cognitive shifting means consciously you choose to take control of your thoughts. You consciously take control of your thoughts and constantly reminding yourself of your strength and your talents. Now, you need to remember and you need to identify your talents and your strength here in order to work on or to develop your self-awareness. Then you respond affirmatively on this. Now, you remind yourself you are in control. Okay, you remind yourself you are in control, not others. Don't let others be in control of your life. You are in control of your life. So it's important. So I'm trying to highlight one of the competency, which is self-awareness. The rest will be dealt in my masterclass, definitely different competencies. Now, Zeti, can I have the next slide, please? Thank you. Now, just for instance, I'm sure Malaysians, you know Chowkit Road. Yes or no? Malaysians, especially Malaysians, Chowkit Road. Do you know Chowkit Road? Yes, Malaysians? Yes. Okay. Now, when we look at Chowkit Road, we have this in mind. Oh, it's filthy, it's poverty. This is what the picture shows here. All right, this is what we have, the mindset we have on the Chowkit Road. I'm sure Malaysians are aware of the Chowkit Road. What is it? Okay, just to highlight one. Now, can I have the next slide, Zeti? Now, this is what I talk about, cognitive shifting. When you shift your mind to look at good things in Chowkit Road. Now, this is Chowkit Road now. Okay, whether it's before or now, it's the same thing. This is Chowkit Road. It's just that we walk few steps ahead to look at good things in our life. All right, so then you see the beauty of it. All right, the beautiful life that we have. All right, next slide, Zeti. Now, just a few seconds for you to look at. Now, this is our society, and this is what really haunts us sometimes. What people think about us, what others might say. Now, we try to have these like others are in control of us, not about you. Okay, when you have that self-awareness, you see you will shine. You would shine. Okay, you will be just perfect. All right. Now, next slide, Sethi. Now, this is me, just to share with y'all. This is me in 2018. I was diagnosed with cancer, and this is me. And 2019, my medication on chemo, my, of course, going through radiotherapy and all that. That is my life in 2018 and 2019. So now you know why I say that self-awareness is very much important, and I'm working on it. Very much want to recognize myself. Who am I, and how am I going to give myself time in this, during this time? So I need that. Now, second slide. Now, if you look at this is me in 2020. Now, if you look at the middle slide there, middle picture there of mine, this in 2020, I've gone through the second surgery. This after my, it's also cancerous, but the second surgery. But how I look at things differently. Now, how I shifted my mind on that. How I silence my inner critics that I have. Definitely this is not something easy. Now, this is the beautiful me now, and I'm really happy of my own progress. How I developed myself, all right? So this would be me, and I will be sharing, next slide, Zeti. So this what I would be sharing in my masterclass, how I'm going to silence the, how we can silence the inner critic, leveraging emotional intelligence, and the sixth competency, I will do it, and why emotional intelligence is relevant to us, and how are we going to develop, what other steps we are going to look at in developing ourselves, especially on self-awareness. All right, so, and also I would explore further how I used it in my own real life, also using case studies in corporate world and also in real life. So I would do that. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for listening. Do you have any questions from me?
Yep.
Do you have any questions?
If you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and straight away ask Mandy.
Or alternatively, you can also use the chat to put in your questions.
Any questions that you have on emotional intelligence, anything?
Feel free to unmute or just drop your questions in the chat box.
May I ask, sorry, may I ask something?
Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
How do you handle if you have a superior that is always very using words that is very
Not encouraging.
hurtful, yeah, hurtful, or a bit of very, you know, bad words or something.
Okay, that's
Vulgar
Audrey.
words, yeah.
That's Audrey, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, hi Audrey. All right,
Hi.
Audrey, the first thing is like what I shared. First, when you realize your self-awareness, you'll be able to push yourself to talk to that particular superior. Now, what is lacking in us is the confidence to speak to this superior. Now, when you don't speak to these superiors, now problem will not be solved. First thing is you're keeping it to yourself. Example, if you one of your colleagues or whoever doesn't speak up, but keeping it to him or herself without even telling that particular superior. Now, this is the problem. Of course, you're not going to shout at the person or what. You're going to sit down and say, hey, let's say, hey, Laura, example, yeah, I got Laura's name, sorry, Laura. Now, hey, Laura, can I, have coffee with you? Now, both of you have coffee, and probably you need to solve that issue there. Now, you need to sit down and say, Laura, look at this. I'm having this problem with you. These are my problem with you. Now, can you, probably want to change and do differently. Now, that is the confidence you should have in order to address the issue with the particular superior. Now, you have done your part. You have done your part. It's up to the superior whether he or she wants to, change the way he or she speaks. Now, that's what is important. How we handle, in my masterclass, we'll be doing, how do you handle difficult conversation? Let it be, you know, any form of misconduct at the workplace or any form of performance issue. How do you address these issues when we talk to people on this kind of real handling difficult conversation?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Audrey. Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. May I give some questions?
Okay, there's one question from Alexandra, is it? Thanks, Alexandra. Hello, sorry, I have a question for Madhi. Out of the 5 inner critics, which one is the most damaging inner critic and how to overcome the inner critic? Thank you. All right. Now, if you remember the 5 inner critics that I highlighted earlier, the part, Zeti, can you go back to the critics, please? All right, thank you. The neglected critic. I would say for me at this moment, for everyone, it could be a different kind of inner critic, which will be paramount to them. For me, if you ask me, for me is the neglected critic. Why I say the neglected critic for me? Now, earlier, probably, you know, way 2-3 years before, probably I would have put others as a priority. Could be my son, could be my husband. That was my priority. My parents, that was my priority. But now I realize I have no time to put others. It's me. It's about me. I have to love myself in order for me to live a healthy life. Sometimes we come into a situation, we need to do it. You know, so my inner critic now, my paramount inner critic will be the neglector, so that I try to improve myself, you know, even when it comes to, I'm not very active in social media. I'm only active in Facebook, example. Other social media, I try to refrain myself not to go into many social medias that I'm not active in, because I think it also sometimes gives some negative thoughts, and I wouldn't want to. So I try not to go into all this, whichever gives me that negative thought. I try not to go into it, or I try to deal differently with that. So for me, it will be a neglected critic is the is most or utmost important in my life. So for you, it could be a different critic. So that's why in my masterclass, we will look at each critic. How are we going to deal? What are the steps to deal with this inner critic? Let it be in our career, or let it be our day-to-day life.
Okay, thank you so much, Maddie, for that answer, and of course for Alexandra for asking that question. And we also have another question for Novidawati. However, we're conscious of time here. We wanted to give you as much value as possible. We still have 2 speakers, so please have your questions ready. At the end of the closing later on, we are open to extend for a few more minutes to be able to answer more questions. So please do save your question, type in the chat, or reserve your question for later. We will have like 15 minutes or so to answer that. Okay. And for now, I think we should do the introduction for Joy. So, and of course, it's my great pleasure to be able to introduce Joy Lang. As verified by scientific strengths assessments, Joy's top 3 realized strengths of mission, drive, and growth shines through her in her work as a strengths and positive leadership strategies. She is a resilience at work coach, accredited strengths profile by CAPP, also an emotional intelligence accredited by Genus, certified warrior goddess facilitator, ICF life coach, and so much more. Joy made impact on self-discovery, maximizing strength, and journey of unleashing of leaders, coaches, business owners, and individuals globally. So without so much further ado, I'd like to give the floor to Joy.
Thank you, Marilyn. Hope everyone can hear me. Do let me know in the chat if you have problem hearing me. So good morning, my lovely she's. So I'm Joy Ling. I'm a positive psychology trainer. I love helping female leaders to eliminate mental blocks for consistent peak performance. And just like what Marty has shared earlier, women have very deeply embedded inner critics that we often give up our power to. So be it the judge, the victim, the protector, or any other inner critics, we sometimes hold on to those limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behavior. So I help women to smash those limiting stories and to anchor in strengths-based identity using simple positive psychology tools. So today I'm going to share with you why resilience has become a must be in this challenging time. And hopefully by the end of my sharing from my learnings, not just from research, my own personal life experience, but also from the interviews that I have conducted, you will realize the urgency of learning these tools to bounce forward as your strongest self. So Nelson Mandela says, do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. So what did you wish that you knew before COVID-19 happened that would have made your life so much easier? Or what is that one skill that you wish that you had before COVID happened? What if I were to show you a simple 6 steps formula that would make you more resilient, bouncing forward with ease in life? So are you ready for some resilient building, ladies? Please type yes. I hope you're ready. Okay, so let's have the next slide, please, Zati. Okay. So psychologists has defined resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or severe stress from work, family, finances, or health challenges. Have you ever seen in a concrete cement brick, a surprising stalk of green peeping out seemingly out of nowhere? Yes, have you seen that before? Now, if you look closely enough, this phenomenon is actually on every pavement out there. And I always get a sense of awe and wonder whenever I catch one. I mean, how is that even possible? Those are concrete brick. And that to me is the ultimate image of resilience. It's an amazing example from Mother Nature about resilience. So a quick survey now, ladies. If you were to scale yourself from 1 to 10, 1 being not resilient at all, and 10 being you're resilient, very resilient all the time, where would you place yourself on the scale? Put a number in the chat box. Where would you place yourself on the scale of 1 to 10? How resilient do you consider yourself? Okay, I have set lots of 8s, 9, 6, 7. Okay, so that's a good number to have at the back of your mind as you think about all this that I'm going to share with you. Now, while it is true that some people are genetically wired to be more resilient, it is equally true and even more important that resilience is a skill that can be learned. It is a muscle that you can choose to work on regularly to support you to cope with setbacks and to bounce forward stronger than ever. So if you forget about everything else that I'm sharing today, all you need to remember is this point. Resilience is a skill that can be learned. And positive psychology has broken down the factors that build resilience, and these are simple and practical techniques that we can apply to tackle our problems head on and overcome adversity, find that sense of power and personal control in our lives. So let me share with you 4 remarkable bouncing forward stories, and these are inspiring people whom I have interviewed on my show, Tough Conversations on Resilient Wednesday. Zati, can I have the next slide? So Serene Lee is this bubbly mother of 3 who suddenly found that her heart was failing her soon after the birth of her 3rd child, and her heart was pumping only at 12%. And for the next 5 years, Serene had to be sustained by a mechanical heart pump that must be charged every 5 hours. And in her exact words, I don't have a heartbeat, the pump is the heartbeat. If the battery dies, she dies. And everywhere she goes, this 2.5 kilo backpack that carries her heart pump has to follow her, even to the shower, even to bed. And yet she kept building her resilience and fought on. And today, Serene is a successful heart transplant survivor, multiple awards winner for her volunteer work, and an active advocate for organ transplant. Serene, through her heart challenges, found a way to bounce forward as her strongest self. Next slide, please. And Carol stayed in an abusive marriage for many years because of her lack of self-worth and also because of an unhealthy upbringing where, in her own words, I was taught that my value, my worth was attached to who I marry. She funded all her husband's failed business ventures, worked for years to pay off all his debts, had plastic surgeries, among many other things, just to seek his love and approval. She finally had enough, built up her resilience, and took massive action. And today, Carol is not only happily married with 3 kids, she's also a female confidence coach and a co-author with Les Brown. She is also my collaborator for an upcoming women empowerment program called She's Strong and Sassy. Carol, through lessons that she learned from an abusive marriage, found a way to bounce forward as her strongest self. Next slide. When Elliot was admitted to do surgery for his rectal cancer, the doctor found another malignant growth on his groin. He was having 2 different cancers at the same time. In total, Elliot had to go through 28 cycles of radiotherapy and 8 cycles of chemotherapy. He also had to wear a stoma bag permanently, which is an external appliance that is attached to the body to collect body waste. And in his exact words, either you accept it and moved on, or you sit down and wallow in self-pity. There was only one way forward, and he decided resilience is the way forward. Today, Elliot is an avid cancer volunteer, president of the Ostomy Association of Singapore, and multiple awards winner for his volunteer work. Elliot, despite the challenges of having 2 cancers, found a way to bounce forward as his strongest self. Next slide. Eva spent difficult years growing up in communist Russia. She had no sense of identity, had to suppress her voice and her feelings, and live in a constant state of fear. She never knew when she or her family members might be arrested and be deported to Siberia. And every day she had to take turn to queue for long hours for food when there is no guarantee that food would be available. And at her darkest point, standing there in the balcony, she almost wanted to jump down to end it all. But she held back and asked herself better question. And in her exact words, once you make a new empowering choice, your brain starts to move differently, looking for support and resources. Am I a victim or am I a winner? What would I choose? And today, Eva is happily married with kids and using positive psychology to empower organizational change. Eva, despite horrifying growing up circumstances, found a way to bounce back as her strongest self. So now, question time. Type your answer in the chat. Who did you find most amazing? And who would you consider resilient? Share with me in the chat. And who believes that these amazing skills demonstrated by these resilient individuals can be learned? Or do you think that they were born with it? Share with me on the chat, yes or no. Yes, it can be learned, or no, this is innate and they are born with it. So let's see what everybody says. Okay, all of you find all these 4 stories inspiring. Yes, so me too. That's why I wanted to share with you. They're like incredible. Yes, I love it. I love your answers. There's so much growth mindset in this group. Everyone believes that it can be learned. I can feel your energy from your yes. So amazing, great. So why am I sharing with you all these remarkable human beings with inspiring life stories? So from my intimate conversations with them, I noticed one interesting phenomenon. Different backgrounds, different ages, and in fact, very different life challenges. Yet, there is one common thread that emerged from their stories. The strategies that they eventually learn and adopt are uncannily similar. It is the same strategies that I'm teaching. And I repeat, because it is that important, they all adopt the same strategies. It is inspiring for me personally to see the same resilient strategies that I teach coming to life from these amazing people. And because of them, I know, not just from my mind, but from my heart, that these techniques work. Next slide, please. So when I had my own fair share of trials and tribulations in life. I was given up for adoption when I was a child because no adult explained to me what happened. The little Joy came up with the most logical conclusion that she could come up with, and that was that I must be dead, unworthy, and unlovable. That's why mommy gave me up. And remember the victim credit that Marty mentioned earlier? Well, that credit was my friend since young. That limiting story became my identity for the next 30 years before I took full responsibility for my own pain and healed myself. Now, looking back, I too can identify that the same strategies that I unknowingly used in my healing journey to build resilience. But we don't have to learn resilience the hard way or only when shit hits the fans. They are simple, evidence-based technique that not only can be learned, it can be taught and shared with your loved ones and with the people you work with. These are highly transferable skills. So I am sharing all these stories from these amazing human beings to impress upon you that you too can learn the same resilient techniques that they have learned the hard way, the long way. We can learn it the simpler way through positive psychology. Next slide. And believe it or not, building resilience is such a vital life skill that it is now a part of the United States Army Soldier Training Program. They call it a Master Resilient Training, MRT, and this is the joint effort between the father of positive psychology, Dr. Martin Solomon, and the United States Army. And this is the Army official position, that the Master Resilient Training is the backbone of a cultural transformation of the US Army, in which a psychologically fit Army will have equal standing with a physically fit Army. So to the US Army, psychological fitness in a soldier is equally as important as their physical fitness. What about you? While you might not be going out there to fight a war, what better way to help you cope with the daily hustle and bustle of life and to also juggle the challenges of being in the midst of a pandemic than to use the useful skills of bouncing forward with resilience? And anyway, if you were to ask me, seeing how women, especially mothers, have to do their incredible juggling acts every day with the household chores, with the cooking, with the cleaning, managing the kids, keeping the partner happy, and still fulfill their work responsibilities, doesn't that resemble to you the chaos of war that requires equal, if not more, physical and mental fitness? People come back from war. We don't come back from anything. This is real life. Women literally are like the acrobats juggling so many plates in the air, and don't lie, I can see the acrobats in all of you. And as a newlywed, I am experiencing some small version of this acrobatic act myself. It is definitely no small feat, and you definitely need psychological fitness. A study that was conducted after the resilient training has been offered to the soldiers for 4 years, they examined the success of the program. And over 90% of the soldiers found the program to be very helpful. More significantly, over 95% of the soldiers said that they found themselves using the skills they learned on the resilient training, both on the job and in their personal lives. So the fact that soldiers found the resilient training valuable not just for work, but also in their personal life, shows you that the same resilient strategies can help you to make a huge positive difference in all areas of your life. Well, 95% of the soldiers certainly think that way. So I'm sure you must be asking the big question now: how to build resilience? So here are some of the resilient frameworks that I work closely with. Next slide. So we have the Spark model that's created by Dr. Ilona Boniwell, and she is a pioneer in positive psychology and also my resilient trainer. We also have the Resilient at Work model created by Catherine McEwan. She's an organizational psychologist. And of course, what's more popularly known is the GREAT model by Angela Duckworth, a psychologist and TED Talk speaker, and also Becoming Anti-Fragile by Dr. Paige Williams. Next slide, please. And taking all of these models into consideration, we have created what is probably the best 6 steps resilient training that you can get. And this is the Ikigai Resilient Framework. Next slide. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that translates into a reason for being. And Iki means life. Gai means value or worth. So Ikigai is associated with having a direction in life, being purposeful, deriving satisfaction, meaning, and self-worth. Ikigai has its origin in the Japanese island of Okinawa, which is said to be home to the largest population of centenarians in the world. So this Ikigai maestro definitely know a thing or two about resilient and living, flourishing lives. Next slide, please. So in this Ikigai 6 Steps Masterclass, you will identify the areas to focus on that will reap the highest return on investment for your time and effort in building your resilient muscles. You will also learn how to stay agile and anti-fragile in stressful situations, and you will learn how to activate simple, evidence-based strategies to install and maintain sustainable well-being while enjoying optimal work performance. No more mental blocks, no more limiting stories, and no more self-sabotage behavior. It is time for you to join Serene, Carol, Elio, and Eva and bounce forward in life as the strongest self. Hopefully one day you will look back and look at them as resilient and admirable, but you feel that you stand in the same league as them. So what if I were able to show you a simple 6 steps formula that will make you more resilient, bouncing forward with ease in life? Now, Nelson Mandela says, do not judge me by my success, but judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. So using these 6 steps, Ikigai resilient steps, let's keep getting up and bouncing forward together. Thank you. So let's move on to the questions now. If you have questions for me, you can type it in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
Yep, if you guys have any questions, do chat with us in the chat box or just feel free to unmute yourself. Shall wait for a few minutes. Okay. Joy, there's Novidawati chatting with us in the chat box.
So I'm reading from the chat. So Novita is saying that there's laboring, especially in my country, laboring like a super mom and super women. This laboring is common, commonly make women feel proud, and they feel like women should reach out to that standard, be always strong, know everything, feel shy to ask for help. I see women becoming more stressed inside. My question is how to encourage the woman to go out from that way of looking at life. So my spontaneous reply is that I think that everything that we're sharing today in this program can play a vital part in supporting you. Emotional intelligence, identifying what are the limiting stories that you're telling yourself, all these inner critics. You really need to identify which is dominant in your life. Like for me, for big time, it was victimhood, isn't it? I was embracing the victim inner critic, mistaken the victim inner critic as my real self, as my true self, but it's not true. And also with the resilience skills, when you have resilience skills, I think resilience skills also help to support women in finding that sense of authenticity. And also one of the training in resilience is how you can identify your cognitive distortion. What are the stories that you're telling yourself in your head that is not real, not true? How do you challenge those thoughts? And so when you have this stress from society about being a super mom, then you have to ask yourself, really, is that really what who I stand for, what I want to be? Like in my most authenticity, in my most authentic self, is this who I am? One thing that women keeps forgetting is before we are all of these roles, whether it's being a mother, being a lover, or being a daughter, you are first and foremost a woman. You must always remember that you are first and foremost a woman. A woman, just like men, we have needs and we have to take care of ourselves. So you must remember who you are, and from that place of womanhood, knowing who you are in your authenticity, standing in your power, smashing your limiting stories, learning how to challenge those negative thoughts, and learning those resilience skills, then from there, then you branch out to all these different roles that you play in life. You come from a place of power because you know who you are and you know how to take care of yourself. You know where is the line, and you know that nobody should cross the line, and you make sure that nobody cross the line. But if, let's say, you allow this pressures and expectations for society to become who you are, that's where all the challenges, all the problems start seeping in. So you have to come from a place of woman, she, and then from there, then you think, okay, do I want to embrace this story that society is telling me? Do I want to embrace this story that my employees, my husband is telling me? You have a space of choice because you have clarity. You're coming from a space of me, she, woman. So I think that you really have to have a clean slate and start from scratch, and really find your core self, who you are underneath all of these expectations and roles that you play. And from there, I think I don't have to tell you what to do. You naturally, from there, already your inner wisdom will tell you what to do and how to deal with all these external pressures. I hope that answers your question, Novida.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
So any more questions from the floor, from the audience? You can just unmute or chat with us in the chat box. Shall give them about 30 seconds. If not, we will move on to the next coach. All right, I guess there is no questions. We shall move on to the next coach, yeah? All right, thank you so much, Joy, for sharing those powerful, inspirational journey from all your collaborators, and also giving us the insight on Ikigai. All right, so we shall move on to the next coach. We have Laura with us. So a bit of introduction on Laura. Elevated into organization-wide leadership roles at an early age, ranging from enterprise, NGOs, and movement, Laura has been unveiled as a prodigy in motivating people to greater heights, accomplishing goals from both a corporate and personal perspective. Building a multinational dollar company in the tech sector, servicing like McDonald's, Fujitsu, Groupon, Zurich Insurance, and other billion-dollar organizations by the age of 30 years old. Laura is passionate about the intersection of the technology and entrepreneurship. Laura was one of the 50 entrepreneurs around the world selected from 1,012 entries from the prestigious Sovereign Academy 2019 in Lithuania, Europe. So without further ado, let me introduce to everyone the amazing Laura. Laura, over to you.
Thank you, Zati. It is, it is very exciting to be here on this call with you. I've just been listening to Mati and Joy sharing their stories, their experiences, and it's wonderful to have such an engaged, excited group of women with me on this call. We are living in unusual times. You've probably heard this phrase over and over and over again until you're tired of hearing it over the last few months. And it's true, because for many of us, this is the first time we're experiencing something like COVID-19 at such a global scale. In a sense, I think it's the International Labour Organization that said about 80% of the world's workforce has actually been affected by the pandemic. Could I please get the next slide? Thank you. So one of the key things that's happening at this point is that we need a diversified workforce in order to successfully navigate the disrupted world. So when I talk about diversity in our context, I'm speaking specifically about gender and racial diversity and inclusion. And because we live in Asia, this is something that we often take for granted because we are used to the diversity. But it's an incredibly powerful trend, especially in creating opportunities for Asian women, for women of color, Black women like myself, because for the first time in history, companies are actually creating policies to actively engage, recruit, and maintain women into positions of leadership and influence. And that's why I'm really passionate about women leaders, about women discovering their strengths, stepping into their resilience, as Mati said, expressing themselves through emotional intelligence. When you bring all of those skills together with that confidence, with the skills of leadership, knowing how to navigate organizations, how to lead people, how to motivate, how to inspire, I think women are uniquely positioned to make an incredible difference in the world today. So as I begin, I would love to know who I'm talking to on this call. So please type in the chat. Please type the number 1 if you are primarily working as an employee, a leader, or a manager within an organization. So type 1. If you're an entrepreneur or maybe running your own business or a freelancer, please type 2 in the chat. And if you're maybe in the NGO or other spaces in which you primarily operate, I'd love to know who you are and who I'm talking to. Okay, I'm seeing a great mix of 1. So we have a lot of leaders within organizations, and we do have some women who are running their own business, doing their own thing. So I believe that whichever space you're leading in this season, you need a great deal of resolve to navigate this next normal that we're talking about. It's really a defining moment for many people in their careers. So even if you're running your own business, having to make that shift of what it is that you're working on, how you motivate people, how you connect with people. Even before COVID, management guru Peter Drucker called this era the era of the 3 C's. So accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition. And that was before the pandemic. So how many of you think that's true, that we live in this world of change, this world of complexity, this world of competition? Please type yes in the chat. In sort of corporate jargon, we call this VUCA. So that means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It's pretty much a catch-all for it's crazy out there. And that's what we need to deal with. That's the world we need to step up into and be able to lead with confidence so that we can bring people together and work towards the vision of a better world. And yet the funny thing is many organizations that talk about VUCA have found themselves completely unprepared when crunch time hit. And I believe that this is a powerful reawakening of shaking things up and causing the world to reevaluate priorities. And this is where leadership shines through. We are seeing the incredible power of female leaders stepping up and standing out because of their empathy, their humility, their communication, and their collaboration. And I believe as women, we have unique gifts. So I'll be talking about that a little bit more later on, about how uniquely positioned we are as women, some of the gifts that we have, some of the ways that even the cultural conditioning that we've had actually prepares us to navigate in these uncertain, complex times. Deloitte has mentioned several workplace trends that they've noticed during this period. And one of them is the need for collaboration to minimize the disruption that's occurring, especially as people are working outside in a sense, the normal workplace, having to work from home, having to work on the go, having to adapt to new technology as well. So this leads to a lot of uncertainty about who do I talk to, who's in charge. When I'm working on my own, how do I lead myself? And I think as if you think about it culturally, one of the survival skills that as women have, we've kind of learned to band together, to watch out for one another, to be able to look out and see how everyone else is doing. I know especially in Asian cultures and even in African cultures, there's that sense of watching out for other people. And I think in a time where we are socially separated, where we are isolated, this comes as a great strength. And so this is where diversity in gender, diversity in racial inclusion within the organizations makes a huge difference, because this companies with diverse talents, diverse perspectives are actually going to come out of this stronger. And so I'd like you to think about what you can contribute, how your experiences have actually positioned you to be much more successful in the workplace. How have your experiences prepared you for to rise up as a leader in these uncertain times? So you might be wondering, you know, whether you're an only child, whether you grew up with multiple siblings in the family, you have unique experiences that have developed leadership within you. And companies in this season that see inclusion and diversity as a luxury are actually losing out on opportunities, because when you have this diversity of perspective, you can actually see from different angles, and you can actually recover faster and recover stronger. So just imagine if you have a company that is all men, they are missing out on the opportunities, the perspectives on the entire female market, on how they can adapt, how they can improve their business, their processes in order to engage with their customers in ways that were previously not possible. And I believe leadership resonance, so this is something that I'll be talking about in the masterclass, is a critical factor in leading a diverse and multi-generational workforce. What do I mean by this? For the first time in history, thanks to the advances in technology, thanks to better medical care, we actually have multiple generations within the workforce. At this point, we have up to 4 generations, all the way from the boomers, the Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, Gen Z. And in a sense, in future, as people live longer, as they work longer, you have all of these different people coming together, and they have to work and play well together within the workplace. And I believe that as women, our skills in communication, in collaboration, in being able to draw people together and being able to see who's left out, who's not engaging, those are the skills that we will need. And so I want us to be able to develop that leadership resonance, that regardless of the background, the age of the people that you are leading, the people you're talking to, the people you're connecting with, that you will be able to resonate with them and with what matters to them. I think especially during this pandemic, there's been a lot of female leaders that have been highlighted, especially for their strength in this area. So we've heard a lot about New Zealand and Jacinta Ardern, and there's also Finland, where the Prime Minister is the youngest head of government in the world, and how she was able to communicate with the people, and she got together social media influencers and used their networks to actually help counter fake news on the virus. So you can see how, like, this sense of being able to break out of the mold, to change from the way that things used to be able to leverage on the things that are adapting. We talk a little bit about, you know, there's the idea of like the super moms that someone mentioned just now. And while it is a stereotype to some degree, there is that there can be an undue pressure that women then take upon themselves to meet, you know, unrealistic, unreasonable demands. But I think there is a grain of truth in that ability to be able to navigate, to be able to adapt rapidly to changing situations. So I imagine if you're a mom, just your response time. You know, your child is about to fall off the sofa. You're able to be like, okay, I need to do something about this now. You might be in the middle of cooking, you might be in the middle of doing something else, but you know how to keep an eye on everything else that's happening in the environment around you. And I believe that this diversity that we bring as women, these strengths, this agility, this adaptability, this able to be flexible and to respond to the challenges that come up is definitely a strength that we can leverage in this COVID season. Could I please get the next slide? Thank you. So agile organizations are adapting to accelerated technology adoption. So what does this mean? Agile organizations are basically this trait that I'm talking about, this ability to adapt, to respond rapidly. Some of the traits of agile organizations is delighting customers. So having a very customer-centric process. So that includes constantly innovating, constantly improving, constantly looking at what are we doing and how can we do this better. Descaling work. So this is a fancy term for basically saying, how can we create teams that can focus on specific areas, and they're able to, within that specific unit, they are dealing with problems as they come. They're making decisions appropriate, of course, to their level of leadership within the organization, but they're able to adapt to make decisions. So just imagine if you have almost like that traditional iron fist kind of leadership where, you know, nothing goes without, you know, going by me, right? Immediately, you can't make your own decision. So this is one of the challenges we're seeing, especially in social media, where decisions need to be made rapidly. You want to respond, you want to come up with, you know, your creative direction, you know, you're responding to a customer. We need to be able to raise up leaders within the organization who have been trained, who know how to handle difficult situations. When a customer is complaining on social media, that can spread really fast. I'm not sure if some of you remember, maybe for those of you in Malaysia, there was an instance with one of the malls, and that the employee responded in not a very appropriate way to the customer, and it went viral immediately. So you need to be able to to really respond rapidly to some of these things. And so that's where, when you have business units that are able to adapt rapidly, to respond quickly, then you are able to respond to those kinds of emergency situations that happen. And this is just on a small scale. And now we are looking at a global scale of, with the pandemic, the kind of decisions you need to make where, you know, between this week and, you know, in 2 weeks from now, you don't know what's going to happen with the lockdowns, what kind of restrictions are you going to have to deal with. And as an organization, you need to be able to adapt and to respond to that. And that's where enterprise-wide agility comes in. So this is about having within the organization, making sure that everyone within the organization is on the same page. They're able to respond. They are constantly in communication and working together so that no one's left behind with yesterday's news. So being able to bring everyone together at that same pace is a huge challenge for leaders within the organizations. And finally, so agility within the organization and a nurturing culture. That's the only way that you can do this. The fourth pillar of an agile mindset and agile organization is a nurturing culture. And we're seeing more and more of the need for that, where there's so much anxiety, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much stress within the workplace. And who needs a boss that adds to that? We need organizational cultures that actually nurture, where we're able to be compassionate, but to be able to also hold boundaries, to be able to call people to operate at a higher standard. And this is something that I believe, again, as women leaders, we have unique opportunities to rise up during this time, to begin to really step into those positions where leaders like this are truly needed. So the other way of thinking about this is an entrepreneurial mindset. And you may be thinking, I'm not an entrepreneur, I don't run my own business. But honestly, this is the best time to maybe, you know, if you're looking at doing a side hustle, COVID has equalized the playing field. Everyone is starting out, it's new, you have a huge influx of customers coming online. So, you know, if this, as a business owner, this is an incredible time, incredible opportunities, especially using technology, right? Where people once hesitated to embrace technology, it's become a central tool to keep us connected. Now, the good news is everyone and their grandmother can connect in ways that we never thought possible. There was a meme going around during the pandemic. I'm not too sure how many of you saw it. That said, you know, can you imagine what it would have been like to go through this pandemic 10 or even 15 years ago, before technology had got to the pace where it is now, where it's actually able to sustain the level of communication and global connection that we have. How many of you know when the first iPhone was released? Does anyone know? You can type it into the chat. So the year that the first iPhone was released, and how much the world has changed since then. You know, the fact that we are even here and able to gather on Zoom. So it was, I wonder if anyone knows that it was actually in 2007. So it was barely 13 years ago. Yes, thank you. Yeah, 2007. And I'm very passionate about, you know, this online technology, digital space, because I've been in the online marketing space since 2007 when I worked with Mind Valley. I was managing their projects and customer support, which is pretty much the backbone of a technology company. So I understood the operational elements of technology, online marketing. I worked together with my husband in Mind Valley, and he was a copywriter. And so he understood kind of the creative aspects of digital marketing. And that was the first time I had this sense of, this technology thing really works. You can make money online without being a scam. And so we are seeing that it's now so common today. So we ran one of the best boutique agencies in Malaysia since 2010. And now our focus is on e-commerce and online education. And why is that? It's because it's scalable and it's location independent. And over the last few months during this pandemic, we've been working with business leaders, with thought leaders and trainers, industry experts to bring their businesses online. And really the reason I'm bringing this up, this whole idea of being agile, this whole idea of adopting technology, is that, ladies, you've got to understand that the future is digital, right? You have to carve out a space for yourself in leadership, in business, by embracing technology. You know, you have to understand how social media works, how online branding works, how reputation works, how to get your website online, how e-commerce works online, how do you connect and support your customers online. I know many, many, many women are intimidated by technology. I work with women and business owners all the time, and so many of them are intimidated. But during this pandemic, I've seen women stepping up, starting their own social media networks, setting up their own websites. That doesn't mean you have to do it yourself, but you just having that willingness to do something new, to be able to step out of your comfort zone. That's what we're talking about. Matthew was talking about those inner critics that stop us from actually leveraging the incredible opportunities that are available to us now. And so I really encourage you to embrace technology, to love technology, and to really take advantage, right? Many of us, I know earlier during the call, we asked, you know, are you working? Are you working from home? Are you working in the office? And so while working from home, remote working has some downsides, but the advantages are incredible, right? Increased flexibility, and that means more women can probably work where you can juggle multiple things, and you can actually work because you have greater flexibility, because women often shoulder an incredible share of the family duties, and having that flexibility to manage your time is incredibly powerful. So I'd like to move on to the next slide, which is the female frontier and the traits of women in leadership. And so with this slide, you can see that women tend to use 5 of the 9 types of leadership behaviors that improve organizational performance more often than men do. And so this is really powerful, that as women, when we begin to recognize that our strengths in terms of like people development, being able to communicate expectations, because we've had to live with, you know, expectations and navigating that. So being able to communicate expectations and rewards, being conscious of either looking for role models or being aware that we ourselves are role models for our teams, that women apply these more in leadership, that we are able to inspire and that we bring people together when we are making decisions, that whole idea of communication and collaboration. We also do intellectual stimulation and efficient communication equally with men. So these are traits that as women, we bring these to the table. And so having women on board, having women in positions of leadership in business, in different areas of influence, I think is going to be critical as we move forward. So this means that women generally demonstrate more often than men 5 of these 9 types of leadership behavior that improve organizational performance, including talent development. And really at this point, as we look into the future, because of automation, technology taking over some of these, you know, more rote skills, talent development is going to be key. So that's one area where that ability to create that nurturing culture, to be able to retain talent and to be able to elevate them, to challenge them, to rise up and to keep them connected, even during times of social isolation, is critical. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, showing those types of leadership. And one of the things that has emerged is that in the challenges of the future, that there are certain leadership behaviors that are most useful in addressing the global challenges of the future. And women actually apply 3 out of these 4 behaviors more frequently. So intellectual stimulation, inspiration, and participative decision-making. These are some of the type of behaviors that are critical as we move forward, as we address the global challenges. This is why, you know, venture capitalists are on the lookout for more women-led companies and companies that have more women in positions of leadership. And there's actually, you know, there's data that shows that it is economically and financially viable for women to be in those leadership positions, that companies have an economic advantage to elevating women. And so that's why I believe as women, we need to be able to rise up, to challenge ourselves, to step out of our comfort zones. And that's where, you know, as you begin to bring all of these skills together in the master classes that are coming up. Next slide, please. So when you combine everything that you're learning from Mati, everything that you're learning from Joy, and you begin to bring all of these together for the new future of leadership in this new normal, you'll be able to understand, what does leadership look like? How do you navigate this, you know, multi-generational, multinational, corporate, diverse, inclusive kind of leadership? What are the facets of female leadership that you can really leverage? And how do you develop your leadership resonance so that whoever you're communicating with, you can bring out the best of yourself to be able to communicate and connect with them, and to identify your leadership vibe, embrace your brilliance. And with that, there's a framework that I call the Destiny Diamond, where you begin to bring all of these things together and you begin to polish them and to make them shine so that you can ride the tides of the emerging tides. So in the short time that we have, I barely scratched the surface, right? Like there are all these different trends, and I know it's slightly more technical, but it's really just to show you that we are living in a world of incredible opportunities as women, incredible economic advantages. I think this is the best time to be a woman more than any other time in history. I believe that you are a diamond and that you just need to polish, right? Like it doesn't matter your size, it doesn't matter, you know, where you are in the organization chart at the moment. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. Maybe you're even, you know, looking at how do I retire? How do I reinvent myself after COVID? You know, you are a diamond and diamonds are extremely valuable. maybe you just need to do a little of that polishing, being aware of what's happening out in the world, being willing to do the work so that you can become that dazzling, shining diamond, so that you can show, when you show up, people can see the value that you have to offer the world, that it's there for the taking, just maybe with that little bit of shining and polishing, that you'll be able to really show up at your best self. So I'm really looking forward to connecting with you ladies and seeing you during the masterclass as well. I wonder if there's any questions. I'd be happy to take those on at the moment.
老公，等一下，麻烦你帮我拿那个杯下来呀。
Any questions? Are there any questions from anyone? We heard a Chinese question. Is that a question?
Yeah, if you like to get further clarification on anything at all, just feel free to unmute or just drop it in the chat box. Shall give them a few seconds to
Any questions from our audience?
Yep. Okay, there's a question from Surya Prabha. What is leadership vibe?
Thank you for the question. So I will be discussing that more within the masterclass, but leadership vibe is how you create your leadership resonance. So there's 4 different elements that I'll be talking about: your vision, your inspiration, and how you are being and how you're engaging. And so how you can actually use all of this, right? Because resonance is about almost like that vibration that you bring, the energy that you bring as a leader. And how do you combine all of those different elements so that you are actually able to lead and to be able to step into everything that that you want to be able to be successful in life and in your career. Does that answer your question, Surya?
So are you okay with that answer, Surya, or is there anything more that you'd like? Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, then thank you so much, Laura, for that amazing presentation. And I definitely totally agree with you on how important it is for companies to have a diverse talent and perspective, and for them to be able to leverage on people development, and of course now technology adoption and agility to be able to thrive at any difficult time. So, and thank you so much, everyone, for your amazing participation. We hope that you have learned from our awesome speakers today, and I'm sure that you are empowered and encouraged through their stories as well. And just to let us know what is actually your main takeaway from this program, please do share with us in the chat. What's your main takeaway? So feel free to share with us. And also, of course, we would like to inspire you to invest in yourself. Like what our speakers mentioned earlier, we do have upcoming masterclass where you can get more out of these amazing speakers that we have. So they will be digging deep on the program. So if we can share the next slide, please, Sati.
This one, right, Marilyn?
Yes, thank you so much. So for this upcoming program on October 26 to 28, our Maddie on the 26th will be sharing the steps to change the negative inner voice to our advantage through emotional intelligence and self-awareness. On October 27, Laura will be sharing with us the new normal way of doing business. So women have a unique advantages to capitalize on these trends and could accelerate their dreams of success in business and life. And on the 28th, Joy will be sharing with us how to build your resilience, and for team leaders here, how you can actually impart valuable knowledge to your team. And for those individuals who would like to increase their agility and sense of control during uncertain times, this is your chance to learn more from them. So currently, the next slide, please. The live online session normally for Singapore dollars, it's about $97 per hour. So we will have 3 sessions of 4 hours each, as you can see on the slide. Coaching sessions for 1 hour for the first 20 registrations only. So it's priced or valued at $250. Normally, it would range between $250 to $1,000, and other bonuses like ebooks, PDF reports, private community access, interviews, and recordings. So the total value for this is $1,565. But because we would like to inspire you to take action and to be able to invest in yourself as one of our, CSR programs as well, I would say. Next slide, please. So we're actually giving this only at $118 for the 3 programs. That's 3 master classes. So it's 118 Singapore dollars or ringgit 348, and for those in the Philippines, Philippine peso 4,248. So we hope to see you on the 3 master classes, not in 1, but 3 programs to equip you to thrive in this uncertain time. So with that, I would like to also leave you with this quote from Tom Hopkins. Okay, next slide, please. So you are your greatest asset. Put your time, effort, and money into training, grooming, and encouraging your greatest asset. So with that, we would like to open again for additional questions. Novidawati, you have a question earlier for Madi. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. And for those who still have additional questions, please feel free to share with us, unmute yourself, or put in the chat if you have any additional questions from our speakers or for me and Zati with regards to the upcoming masterclass, perhaps. Laura, there's a comment here for you from Angela. You should come to Mauritius and deliver your presentation at the University of Mauritius. You are very articulate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angela. I'd love to come.
Okay, so Kalaivani said the one thing that I learned from this training is how to overcome inner critics. We need to be more confident. Great sharing. Thank you so much. Please keep the thank you coming. We appreciate that so that, we inspire more our speakers here, and share with us your takeaways, and wow, keep it coming. Any question? Earlier, we've missed a question from Vidawati. Please go ahead with your question to Madi, please.
I'm sorry, but maybe that my question is for Maddie for the first, but Miss Joy is already answered it. But one thing that I want to ask, how about the woman in like in remote areas, so many difficult things that they facing in the COVID-19, but they have no access to learning or how to increase their capability, how we can reach them to make some more value for them. I'm so sorry about my English, but I hope you understand what I asked.
Novida, the question is to whom, Novida? Sorry, Novita, is it a question to me?
For you, sorry.
Okay, okay, Novita, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I agree with you, Novita, especially you're from Indonesia, is it, Novita?
Yeah.
All right. I do understand we do have all these villages in Indonesia and all that. And there are some hindrances such as like accessibility of internet and all that. Definitely if we look at the old school of thoughts, definitely I would say books bring you back to the books. You know, you can always enhance your talents through that. You know, you can always read books and all that. These are some things that I would say politically inclined as well, you know, whether we have the accessibility and all that, but whether we want to go further, it's all in our hands. It's all in our hands, how we're going to move forward. Now, if we're going to talk about, okay, during COVID-19, many things happen, even in my life, your life, there are many things that have happened in our life. But only thing is how we, like, remember if I say cognitive shifting of your mind towards looking at things, possibilities. Now, if you take me for example, during COVID-19, I'm not the tech savvy person. Yeah, I'm not a tech savvy person. Now, this online thing, I'm today here in front of you today, it's only during RMCO. I have never been online. You know, I took that opportunity, be very frank, I took this opportunity to go onto online, and today I'm talking to you. So I grabbed that opportunity that was given to me. Because whatever, no matter whether you have or you don't have, but if it happened, you try to look for an opportunity rather than sitting and, you know, sulking about it. We don't sulk about things that, you know, it's out of our control. Remember the inner critic that I talk about, sulking, which is not in our control. Accessibility is not in our control. So we go ahead and look for other opportunity which can help us to overcome this, you know. So this is one of it that I'm sharing. And also, you know, the second stage that I have to go for surgery and all that. Definitely from first stage to second stage, when I move on to my own health issues, I looked at it differently. I definitely look at it differently. We need to motivate now. Motivation is not about putting on the Facebook and not only talking about it and talking to others about it. What about us? We motivate ourselves every day, morning when you get up, or you motivate yourself. You know, we need to look at ourselves as the queen. The moment we look at ourselves as the queen, we are motivated. Somehow we are motivated. We might have so many mishaps in our life, so many things happening in our life, but we are important. For me, I would say we are important. How are we going to enhance ourselves? Ask that question and list out how are you going to improve yourself. Like I talked about emotional intelligence. Try to list out in your journal, what is it, the questions you want? How are you going to develop yourself? I understand very much in certain places we do not have this kind of accessibility, but try to look at other opportunities available, and we cannot be sitting down and talking about something that out of our control. Okay, something that we really, really can work on. I hope, Novita, I have answered that question on that.
Yeah, so if I may just add a little bit more.
Yes.
So I'm originally from Zimbabwe, so I understand the challenges of not having access, of being in these difficult positions where sometimes it feels like there are no opportunities. And I would go with what Mati said as well. One is particularly in this period with everything coming online, there's an incredible amount of access. So whether it's free education, learning, being able to connect with, you know, institutions, teachers, speakers online, so that you actually begin to step out of that comfort zone as well. That sense of like, I don't have opportunities, but really the world has opened up with everything coming online. There is greater access. At the same time, I am also aware that that's not always possible, right? And this is why I believe that especially when we acknowledge that we come, I'm speaking for myself, that I am in a privileged position to be able to sit here in Kuala Lumpur to share and to inspire different women out there. And I believe that as more women are empowered, we begin to change the entire ecosystem. For me, it's about working with the ecosystem. That's why I'm passionate about business. I'm also passionate about the NGO space. I'm involved in all of that because it's an ecosystem. And now, I think I didn't mention this quote earlier, but in a US, in the UN women, there was a policy brief that they released that said, while women have been hit very hard by the pandemic, they're actually going to be the backbone of recovery. So from a policy level, there are also going to be opportunities opening up, whether it's looking at all these different global institutions, governments that are actually creating opportunities for women to invest more in women. And I think that's where the awareness and the confidence come together. Because if you don't know that, as Mati said, if you just sit back and sulk and don't take ownership of your life, you don't actually know the opportunities that are out there. You feel like a victim. But I believe that there is this opportunity that as we become more empowered and inspired, we begin to inspire other people around us. They begin to see what's possible. And that's why I'm here talking to all of you women, because I think we are all passionate about different areas. We all have different even levels of access and opportunities, but it's going to take all of us working together, being willing to step out, being more confident, looking for those opportunities so that we can actually move forward regardless of the challenges, sometimes the very real challenges that we face. So thank you. I think that's a really great question. And I think it's definitely something that across different arenas, I think there are people working on that, and it's looking at connecting with the people that are in those areas and figuring out how do I lend a hand to support and lift up all the women that are in that kind of position.
Thank you so much for everyone who's still staying in the call. We can accommodate 1 or 2 more questions before we end this session. Feel free to type in the chat or unmute yourself. And if we can request everyone to please turn on your video so we can see your beautiful faces. At least we know whom we are talking to right now. Yes, thank you so much. Audrey, Mandy. Thank you. Yay! Finally, we see your beautiful faces.
Yeah, all the pretty ladies.
So please do turn on your video. We can take a short photo. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to let us know. Type in the chat or unmute yourself if there are any additional clarifications, questions, or anything. We still have over 60 people here in the chat. So feel free to let us know if you have any additional questions. Yes, please turn on your video. Let's have a photo, group photo. It's like a souvenir for you that you are, you know, investing in yourself, taking time to learn and to hear the insights from our amazing speakers. Okay, how about the others? Can we request you to turn on your cameras? Any additional questions as well for our speakers while everyone is still here? Or about the masterclass, Zati and I are here to answer your questions as well. So, okay, so I think this is it. Not everyone will be able to turn on their cameras.
Yeah.
Let's take a photo now. So everyone, please be ready and flash your beautiful smile. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you. So any additional questions from anyone, whether be it about the masterclass or the sharing or any insights that pop out your mind from what they have shared with you? Okay. We'll give you a few more seconds to speak up, ask questions.
Or maybe if you have like any sharing that you think can inspire others as well, in this session, you know, women to women. Feel free to unmute yourself or just type it out in the chat box. We would love to hear your story.
Okay, we have a question from Mandy here. How to sign up. So these are the links. So you can actually sign up individually, but in the individual link, you can actually sign up for a bundle. What we shared with you earlier is actually a bundle rate, which is for 3 master classes, which I believe you should attend everything. I mean, for you to be able to be really equipped during this crisis and, you know. Oh, okay. So Audrey is also about to ask that question. Thank you. Thank you so much. So these are all the links. I put it in the chat. So please do register. You will find out more details on the programs through these links, and you can register directly through that link. And again, like what Zati also mentioned earlier, for those that are based in Malaysia, it's also claimable, HRDF claimable. Yep. So that's why it's a minimum of 4 hours for each masterclass. So let us know if it's that that's something you need. But if you actually register through Eventbrite, it's gonna be in Singapore dollars. So let us know if you need help on that. We can also like send you an invoice for those who are requiring another currency.
Madi, sorry, just now you were about to say something.
No, I just wanted to say something, but okay, ladies, just to say, please, this is my advice to you, going from what I've been throughout my life, you know, what I went through. This would be my advice to you. Please have this self-awareness. Look at the present moment. Don't look at the past and don't look at the future. Look at the present moment. That is most important thing. It's you. It's you, how you can create that confidence. Like Laura said, you know, you need to harness the diamond. You need to bring that diamond within you. And definitely what Joy said, that how do you change yourself to look at the positive in you? I think that works well. Believe me, it works. When people say, be positive, be positive. I didn't know about being positive earlier, but now I know how much it has impacted my life and how much it plays a very big role in my life, being positive. Now, why I say, you know, when we are diagnosed with such a thing, we always think about dying. We always think about dying. But I changed my mindset. I changed my mindset to look at not the 5% who has departed. Instead, I look at the 95% who are still living. I look at that. I change my mindset to look at that. That is the breakthrough that I have. So it worked wonders. Believe me, it worked wonders. When you change your lifestyle to look at things positively, it worked wonders. Now, sometimes just to share you, I hope I'm not dragging this, but just to share with you one more point. No, sometimes we do help our friends. We do help our friends, and we want them to acknowledge that. We want them to tell you, thank you for the help that you have done. That is our expectation. That's your expectation on it. But if you leave it as it is, thinking, okay, I have helped this particular person, it doesn't matter whether she say thanks or not. For me, I have done a favor. I have helped her. And that's it. That is the mindset you change. When you have a higher emotional intelligence, you will seem to look at things very different level. And you say, yes, I've helped her and thank you. And that's about it. This will not affect you. You know, things, small things in our life affect us. I think it is not worth it. To live a life, happy life, I think all these things are not worth it to be bothered about. There are a lot of things there to make us shine. All right. So I leave it from there. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us, and stay safe and love you all. All right.
Thank you for that inspiration, Madi. Thank you for shining your light to us. And I don't see any more questions. So in that case, we would like to thank you again, all our speakers, Zati for helping me out as well here. And all, of course, all our amazing participants for the amazing questions as well. Thank you so much for coming, for joining us, and for investing in yourself. And we look forward to seeing you in the masterclass. Thank you so much. Bye and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Mary. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.